we have heard, and to our utter dismay, of grooming gangs in Britain. I want to know from you what exactly happened, and is justice being brought to bear?
So in this country, we have an experiment going on, and the experiment is called multiculturalism. And the idea is that multiple cultures can live together in harmony and without friction and work together for mutual benefit, which is like one of those theories. On paper it sounds wonderful, but it never happens in real life. The reason it doesn't happen in real life is that a state needs to police such a multicultural society with complete equality. We talk in Bharat of a uniform civil code, and it's only if there is a uniform civil code that such a society can work. In this country, we have religious laws as well, canonical laws, and then we have the laws which have been created by the House of Commons and Parliament and the general public. So they run in parallel. But we also have other legal systems. Sharia courts operate in this country as well. So there is a bit of a mishmash, and this is being sorted out. Now, from one perspective, not every community, not every society runs on the same value system. In some societies, you have what we call a dharmic perspective, which is that every human being is divine and a manifestation of Paramatma. And in other communities, you have still an element of tribalism. There is tribal competitiveness going on. There is competitiveness for resources, competitiveness for primacy, for political power, all of those things. And when you take all of those totally different strains and put them into one cauldron and then mix it all up, then there are going to be odd outcomes. Now, we do have in this country, in the United Kingdom, a distinct civilizational profile, which is at odds with the civilizational profile of where this country is. And Great Britain, the people of this island are honest, decent. I think it was Will Durant who said, "The Englishman is amongst the best of men, and the Britisher is the worst of men," or something like that. And the English identity, the Welsh identity, the Scottish identity, good, solid, straightforward people. And you get on with them, you work with them, and it's great. It's really good fun. They're harsh, their jokes are very severe and can be very offensive if you're not used to them, but the heart is completely pure. Now, that society has been open and welcoming for a long period of time. But there are communities who have come who do not respect that. Their stage of civilization or societal evolution hasn't moved beyond tribalism. Now, we know that in many parts of the world, tribalism still exists, and where it's perfectly feasible to go and kidnap the daughters of a tribe which you find offensive and bring them into your own. It's been going on for a long period of time. It's also it's a recorded fact of history that one of the most violent ways in which you can attack a tribe that you oppose is to destroy their capacity to reproduce themselves in the civilizational mode that they would continue. We saw this in Bangladesh when the 1971 war, and the whole purpose of raping, 400,000 Hindu women was nothing other than to destroy the future of that society. And so there are ideologies where these principles are at play. And what we have in this country is a small group of people who have an alien ideology, and that ideology allows them to make an identity of the other and make that identity so low that they feel they can do whatever they wish with it and use that, use innocent and vulnerable adults and children for their own political and their own societal benefit. So we have had this in this country for a long time. Turning to the specific instances, there is a phenomenon whereby a group of men will get together and target vulnerable girls. And those vulnerable girls follow a particular profile, and those groups of men follow a particular profile. And this is what's made it quite unusual. Against a national population where, for example, the Pakistani community are only 2%. Pakistani men are only 2% of the British population. And yet, if you look at the grooming gangs, those gangs who came together to kidnap non-Muslim, non-Pakistani girls, 84% are from the Pakistani Muslim community. Now that's a statistic. And so, it's a reality and it's a fact, and that needs to have been explored. Now, at the moment, we are facing a great deal of discomfort because the reports that the government has produced, it's almost as though they have deliberately tried to avoid dealing with the issue. So the latest report, it studied 5 locations up and down the country, and none of those 5 had any recorded history of this particular problem. When there are 22 towns where this problem has been highlighted, identified, and there is data, but they were not researched, they were not scrutinized. So when politics and social manipulation and engineering society intervenes with statistics, friction occurs. And so the country is actually at this moment trying to digest why this is occurring, and more importantly, why justice is not being given, protection is not being given to these vulnerable children. The Home Office, I know for a fact, is reviewing the manner in which police record data. It would now seem that the police, Manchester Police Force, for example, have no records of the ethnic origin or any of the data which produces this information. Why? Where did it go? Nobody has actually done any research. And so this is happening now. This is a fundamental problem. It's been a problem for the domestic British community, and it's been a problem for our Punjabi, for our Indian, Hindu and Sikh communities as well. We've been bringing this to the attention of the authorities for almost 20 years, and nobody really sort of took any notice of it. But now that it's been, shall we say, dramatically brought to their own doorstep, there is now a recognition that this is a problem. And it's a problem that will be resolved. It will have to be dealt with. If you can't protect your own most vulnerable members of your society, you lose all moral authority on the world stage. Right? The BBC's capacity to go and poke fingers in other people's problems and scratch at their wounds, it immediately becomes compromised when you just simply ask them the question, well, how are you getting on with this particular problem? So it has to be addressed. It's a moral and a societal imperative. And I hope that under the new Home Secretary, our own Priti Patel, we will see progress. There's more chance we'll see progress under her than we have under any other Home Secretary so far.
Absolutely, Panditji. I hope so too. It's a very painful reality that I think has to be confronted and has to be tackled, like you said.
Namaste. We hope you enjoyed this Chitti Media content. Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.